Thank you. A funny thing happened on the way here today. I spent 8 hours with 150 14-year-olds teaching them meiosis and mitosis. And then after school, I ran in my car, I didn't pass the speed limit, to the East Flagstaff Library where I worked with over 50 kids and dissecting owl pellets, pigs, and frogs. So then I raced home and showered because I smelled really bad. And now I'm here to talk to you why I love science and I love my job. I spend every day working with kids, exciting them about science. I take what all these presenters do and I make it engaging for students. You couldn't have a better job than my job. So this is just to let you know, I believe in living science, so I go out in the field, I learn science beyond what I already know, and then I bring it to my students. And how do I do that? Well, I have props. Oh, this is what I want. I want my lab coat, because science is about exploring. Science is about doing different things and engaging students about wanting to be future scientists. I had 15 kids today, and they were all short. I usually call those ankle biters. They were all about this high, and they were delving into owl barf. They were cutting apart fetal pigs. They were cutting open grass frogs and coming up to me and saying, "Look, Jillian, here's the heart." This is why I teach, and this is why it's so exciting to be here talking to you about the educational part of science. Okay, I was recently in the Southern Ocean, a year ago actually today, and a bird had died on the boat we were on. And I had the opportunity to go to our resident wildlife biologist and say, "Hey, can we cut it open? Can we look at it? Can we learn from this bird?" And it's a diving petrel. I've never seen this bird before, and we did. We cut it open. We dissected it because I do the same thing with my students. I have an after-school club I do for students. They don't have to come. This year, 62 students showed up for an after-school club. It's an oceanography club. What do you do in oceanography? You dissect sharks, and you talk to the students, why is their skin oily? Why do they smell so bad? And then you talk about what it's like to live in an oceanic ecosystem. And that's how I excite students. But I can't do it by myself. So I developed this program called Scientists in the Classroom. And I bring scientists to work with my students year-round. I bring organizations in Flagstaff to work with my students on a monthly basis so that they can see all the science that I can't teach them in just the 10 months that we're in school. And just to let you know, Lowell Observatory, that's actually Dr. Alan Pope. He's a glaciologist out of Colorado who works with my students, oceanographers. We go to the airport. The airport is one of our mentors. It's all about bringing kids outside of the classroom. It's all about bringing the outside into the classroom. These are our partners. These are kids making krill. These are kids listening to elephant seals. Does anybody know what that little yellow guy is down there? It's a napoli. It's one of the life cycles of a krill. Okay, my oceanography students can tell you that. It's a small picture, I apologize, but there's my oceanography students at Flagstaff Sights and Sounds at the Mall. We step out of the box on a daily basis, because that's how you learn science. Oh, but wait a minute. I'm done with dissecting now. So it's important to take this coat off, and it's important to put a bear skull. Don't know how that got in there. It's important to put a beaver skull. No, that one doesn't belong in there either. Here's the other coat I want. Sorry. Because I got a little burnt out on education, and I took a year off, and I worked on a NOAA vessel in the Bering Sea. And this is my gear, because it's important for me to excite students about science and show them, and I am biased, I think science is everything. Science is the clothes you're wearing right now. It's every breath you take, and it's every thought that you remember from tonight. It's all science. Everything is science. So it's important for me to be able to get that excitement that I have about education and bring it to my students. As I mentioned before, I have an oceanography club. We go to California every year. We need to raise $8,000 to $9,000. So we have this amazing community. That was a recent fundraiser at Wildflower Bakery. So what do I have my students doing? They're trying on clothes. They're trying on polar gear. They're seeing what it's like to be a scientist in the field. And that's me. That's actually on Bird Island. It's part of South Georgia, which is in the Southern Ocean, where we were actually looking at giant albatross. It was pretty amazing. But it's also about bringing the science of science back into the classroom. I was on a boat in the Bering Sea. They brought out this glass tubey thing. I'm like, what's that? That's a sediment trap? What, sediments? What are you talking about? They're collecting sediments in the water to see how different substances are filtering through our oceans. Well, what did my students do? We built a sediment trap for the Flagstaff pond. Okay, so that's our sediment trap. I rented a rowboat for 2 months, and we went out to the pond and we collected data. We collected sediments, we built that, we talked about engineering, we talked about all the things that STEM is, science, technology, engineering, and math. Do you know it took them over a week to figure out what kind of cord to use to make the sediment trap? Because at first they wanted to use yarn. And I said, but wait a minute, won't it stretch? Okay, and then they wanted to use cable. So we went through this whole process of trying to engage us in real science. As I said, just last year, I got to spend an entire month in the Southern Ocean. It was marvelous. How do I engage students? Did you know that over 47 states had students in classes and in homes following with our expedition? Because they made expedition flags. And then I highlighted them on my blog. And how do I teach oceanography? I'm a forester by trade. I'm not an oceanographer by trade. I have a passion for the ocean. What do my students do? They talk to the scientists on Bob Ballard's boat, and they ask them questions live in my classroom. I bring the world into the classroom. I take the science we're learning about tonight. All my students know that I put myself through college fighting forest fires. So tonight's presentation was great for me. All my students know that while fighting forest fires, I got Rocky Mountain or Colorado tick fever, and I was really sick. Really, really, really sick. All my students know that Dr. Malazzo is one of my mentors, and he comes into my classroom. I make it come alive. There's Dr. Malazzo right down there in the lower left-hand corner, okay, because we have an event every year where we bring our scientists into the classroom, and my students get to stand proud, and they get to say, I did this work. And I'm a mini volcanologist, and I know this. And I'm going on to high school prepared to know science and be excited about science. We've got NAU there. Another one of our sciences is Dr. Klimowski. He's up in the upper right-hand corner. That's Andy Burke from Mountain Heart. We bring the science into the classroom. This is how you engage students in learning. This is how you make future scientists. You spend an hour and a half on a Friday afternoon with a bunch of ankle biters getting them to touch owl puke. That's how you get them going. I get my students to build underwater robots. You say, what? We don't live near an ocean? That's crazy. No, we don't. It's okay. We have a pool. I build a GPS system to look at the movement of plate tectonics in the Southern Ocean because it's directly responsible for the opening of the Antarctic circumpolar current, which affects the climate we have today. I bring my students there through pictures because I got to go there. This slide, I have to be honest with you, is especially significant to me. In the lower left-hand corner, you see a bunch of tough-looking boys standing there with the green footsteps. We were the only middle school that had been invited to a tech job kind of fair at NAU. And these boys, that's when I was teaching at what we called New Start. Can anybody just say yes if you know what New Start is? Excellent. These were all my lovely little hooligans. It makes me choke up a little bit. This is a Saturday morning. This is 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And they showed up, all of them, to show the robot that they made because they wanted to see if there were any dead bodies in the bottom of the pond. Okay? Seriously. This is what science is. This is what education is to me. It's about engaging future learners, okay? Students that are excited about being in the classroom and bringing it forward. There's my oceanography club in Monterey, because we go every year. And yes, 2 days a year I drive for 12 hours and my body's kind of shaking. But when you watch a child see the ocean for the very first time, you know that life is good. Why do I bring scientists in the classroom? Real-time data, diverse scientific careers, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and it brings the world in. I have a mentor from Russia. I have a mentor from Norway. They talk with my class every single year. I've got a scientist from Antarctica. I've got a scientist in New Zealand, California, Alaska, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. These are all professionals who recognize to make future scientists, to make science come alive like the Festival of Science does, we have to be invested. It's why I'm wearing a silly orange jacket in front of you, because I'm invested in the future of my learners. okay? We save enough money so we can rent that boat just by ourselves for an entire 4-hour cruise. And we go and we look for whales and dolphins, and the kids have the time of their life. And then we go to the beach, and we spend the entire day running our robot, kayaking, taking water samples, and just playing, and being excited about what we have spent an entire year learning about. Why do I have the best job in the world? Because I spend every single day with 14-year-olds who giggle, who laugh, and who are excited to learn, because I make learning exciting. And I make it exciting because I get to do things like this. And I have people that support me, like Dr. Milazzo, who help me show students about how great it is to be a scientist. But I can't do it alone. These are just some of the agencies. I didn't have to pay to go to the Southern Ocean. I didn't have to pay to go spend time in the Bering Sea. I didn't have to pay to learn how to build an underwater robot. These are just some of the agencies that teach teachers how to be engaging and exciting and just love their job. And I'm done.